Let's look at some different methodologies of motivation. A lot of people spend time studying motivation and they come up with different theories, and I think these are really credible in the aspect of you can use these theories in the workplace. I have for a long time. Sometimes I use them on myself, but a lot of times I'm using them just trying to understand the overall format of a general population model, but also the individual. Sometimes you have to focus in as to what motivates this person and what motivates this person, especially if they're key people in your organization. So sometimes you really have to pay attention as to exactly what motivates them. We're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's got 5 different levels in it. This you'll hear in management, you'll hear it in all kinds of other aspects, but especially management and psychology. You'll also hear about McClellan's what we call acquired needs theory, about the need for achievement, affiliation, and power. With self-determination, you look at that one. And also Herzberg's 2-factor theory, one's called hygiene factors, and the other is motivators. Hygiene has got nothing to do with brushing your teeth and taking a shower. It's a different aspect of it. So first of all, let's look on Maslow, his 5 different levels. The theory is that you are on one level, and until that level is completely filled, you cannot go on to the next one. So the most basic need is the aspect of physiological. Let me give you an example. Physiological, you need to have food. You need to have some type of aspect of what do you want to have to just get by on daily survival. You may be dreaming about getting a cherry red sports car and you have it visualized in your mind. But if somebody sits down there and they grab you and they hold your head underwater, you know what? At the moment, you may forget about that cherry red sports car that you always wanted to get. You may just be looking for your next physiological need. Oh, air! Yes, so you're going to struggle frantically trying to get your next breath of air because that need is the most important thing in your entire life. That's a smart move because that cherry red car can wait someday. So you have that. Then you have the aspect of safety need. You want to have some emotional security. You want to have housing. You want to make certain that you have to go to sleep at night and worry about somebody attacking you. You want to have, in the workplace though, you want to make certain that you have the ability to pay your bills, make certain that you have a continuation of the safety need. Pay attention to this because this is a big deal. You want to have the love need and the aspect of being cared for by the people that are around you. We really call that an esteem need, but a social esteem need. You want to sit down and have that aspect of love, friendship, affection, some kind of office party, some type of group that you're a part of and that you sit down and you have some group that you can hang with in the aspect of having some type of thing. And it could be sometimes a negative thing because you're accepted there. Maybe a gang. That's a negative aspect of it, except they're being accepted by that for inappropriate behaviors, but that is an acceptance. We look for things like that. We look for having people, colleagues we can work with, a colleague we can go have lunch with, groups of people that we hang out with, any type of things in work and also out of work. Esteem needs are things for we have on the inside that we're looking for to have some type of esteem aspect of we got a certificate, we like that, or the intrinsic aspect of it. But now we're looking for self-respect, and that's what drives that. And then eventually the self-actualization where you are really free and set to be self-fulfilled, increasing your competence, using your abilities to the fullest. But keep in mind, the boss comes by. The boss says, if you screw up again, I'm going to fire you. Well, you've been enjoying the self-respect. You're part of a group at work, and all of a sudden the boss says, I'm going to fire you. All of a sudden you drop. You don't care about the self-respect. You don't care about the group love that you have. All of a sudden now you're worried about keeping your house because if you lose your job, you don't have the money to pay your house payments. So all of a sudden, crumble. The needs now, they disintegrate down the whole pyramid, down to the very basic ones, because fear can change everything. I hate to tell you this. There's a simple truth here. Love or fear? Which is the greater motivator? I would love to believe that love, being cared about, being accepted by people is the great motivator. Things we all desire. We do desire them, except for the fact fear is a darn good motivator. By golly, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to do my job really well. keep that in mind because of the fact that you may say something casually. One time I had a rookie president at a college I was at, and he just was walking down the sidewalk and he's talking to somebody about this over there. Then all of a sudden it spread like wildfire. Well, he says this. I says, he didn't mean what you're interpreting. But I heard him say that. I says, he can't do that. It would violate the contract. I had to go talk to him about his behavior because as a president, he was saying things that shouldn't be said because he was spreading different rumors out there, totally destroying the organization just with a casual word. As a leader, watch what you say because the casual word can be misinterpreted and sometimes willfully misinterpreted. So always pay attention to this aspect over here. You want to always come across with the positive, and if you're going to deal with something, make certain if you have to deal with somebody in a negative way that you always praise in public, criticize in private. Praise in public, criticize in private. Put that in your notes. 3 needs, McClellan has something a little bit different. There's a need for achievement. He feels that all of us have some areas we need to achieve in. And there's also a need for affiliation. You know, it sounds a little bit like Maslow. They're on the same page because Maslow's talking about esteem, group esteem, and the need for power. We all want to have some control over parts of our own lives and even parts of our own jobs. Sometimes, as a boss, you may be taking that away from an employee, but if you free them up, they have the ability to sit down and work in this area, all of a sudden they can thrive. We had a wiki that we had, and a wiki is actually a whole series of documents you keep on filing. You can edit them as you go through, and if you have multiple editors in it, they can actually change the stuff. You'll see this in Google Docs nowadays. But that being said, I gave her the freedom to handle all the non-bargaining employees, and all of a sudden she took off because she was good in it. She had about 200 different processes and procedures. She was phenomenal because she had power over the area that she was in, and she thrived because of the fact that she was given the responsibility, and boom, she took care of it and everything else. There's a need for achievement there, a need to be recognized for what I'm doing, and she had some power there as well. She totally fulfilled the aspects of the acquired needs theory. The 3 needs here is a well-balanced individual. You have a touch of all 3 of them, and sometimes a control freak, you get out of balance over here or out of balance over here. You know what? That's part of the human condition. You'll see that in all of us in some way, shape, or form. Ideally, you have all 3 of them well balanced, the need for achievement, affiliation, and power, but sometimes you'll see that somebody gets things out of balance, and I promise you, in your work career, you will see somebody out of balance, especially with the thirst for power. You'll see that. Self-determination theory, you always want to make certain there's intrinsic motivation, what's on the inside, the 3 innate needs, and also the theory to motivate people. Now, Herzberg is almost a restatement in a lot of ways of Maslow. He has 2 factors, and if you look at him by the time it's all done, he has 2 things. He has motivators, the things that motivate people, and then he has another thing called hygiene factors. The hygiene factors is kind of a weird thing. You would think that they might be motivators, but what they are is if you don't have them, people become unmotivated. When you do have them, they say, it's about time. One time, I drove to college. I parked my car. It was a rainstorm. We hadn't done all the parking lots. We had a gravel parking lot. I parked my car in the middle of the rainstorm. I step out of the car. My foot goes into a pothole ankle deep. I got water in my shoe. Every time I take a walk, squish. It's miserable, it's rainy. I walk into the classroom, I got my students there, and I had to put on my smiley face and be that good professor to them and everything else. Well, I'm absolutely miserable. They fixed the parking lot. Finally, by the time it was all done, I never said, thank you for fixing the parking lot. I never sent a thank you card for finally spending the money to get around to that. I just said, finally, about time. And I turned the page and went on to something else. I wasn't the least bit motivated that they paved the parking lot. All he said was, finally, it's about time you did your job. And that's kind of a bad attitude, but that's what a hygiene factor is. Nobody wants, hey, I'd like to have another company policy. No, everybody grumbles about it, but when the supervisor has to use that company policy to discipline a lazy employee, and you're the ones picking up their work because they're not doing it, all of a sudden now you appreciate that company policy because the supervisor is finally enforcing it. Pay, surprisingly pay, okay, if pay is fine, but it's more motivating if you get some kind of a bonus or anything else because you need something extra in the aspect over here. The achievement, the recognition, the work itself. So if you look at this, really the aspect of motivating factors are different than the hygiene factors, but also they'll be different for different people. There's another one called the self-determination theory. We want to have the autonomy, the competence, the relatedness, a sense of belonging, attachment to others. That really is handy. Let's take a look and compare the different aspects of it. Maslow has 5 different needs. McClellan, if you start looking at that dotted blue line going through them, he focuses in on the higher level needs. He doesn't focus in on the safety and physiological like Maslow does, but you'll see him, Deci, and Ryan, you'll see that aspect of it, and you'll see also Herzberg takes the hygiene factors. They're really those things at the bottom of the physiological and safety. So you'll see that all 4 of these have a lot in common in the aspect of what motivates people, especially at the higher end and especially in the workplace. You need to know these 4 different theories because of the fact that you're going to be held accountable for the class, but also these are the things that you carry out of the academic world into the real world because of the fact that you, as a leader, as a manager, need to know what motivates you and what motivates your employees as well. Maslow, McClellan, Herzberg, Deci, Ryan, pay attention to all 4 of these motivation theories because they will have an impact at some point in your career pathway. Take care.